Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 27th of September, comes to you from London. The dollar continues to climb. We see here on the 60-minute chart we're making new highs on the dollar index again this morning. This is new 4 or 5 week highs now, so dollar is staging quite a recovery. Got a lot of work to do still on the medium and long term charts to get through, but we have found support here on this medium term point and figure line. It does just suggest that the dollar has found some strength and is bottoming at the moment. And if we look at the euro, we see that the euro is making new 4-week lows, just really testing levels almost back to July. So we are just seeing the euro weaker at the moment. So euro weakness, just the theme on the short-term charts. And if we look at the yen, we see here that the dollar is again making new highs, transitioning on the medium-term chart. This is very common on the lagging line where we hit the cloud resistance, we come back and find the cloud support, and then we go away and make a new high. So at the moment, this is really significant, the fact that the dollar is making this new high against the yen. We're seeing the transition on the long-term chart and the lagging line as well, above the cloud really for the first time in a couple of years. So we are seeing that dollar strength, yen weakness. And if we look at sterling, we see sterling sinking lower against the dollar. So the dollar is just resurgent at the moment, and sterling coming back into the 133 area. So quite significant. We're seeing the sterling chart also against the euro. Euro weakness is meaning that we've seen that fairly flat in the short term. So pausing for breath really, but medium and long term still bearish against the euro. Looking at Swiss franc, sterling falling away here now as well. So that's quite significant. And against the Australian dollar, sitting at the 170 level. Looking at the US stock market, just not much change yesterday on the S&P 500, but the Nasdaq staging a little bit of a recovery, but still looking bearish in the short-term chart. That's the key. The level here is about 57.80. If we go through that level on the lagging line, then the medium-term chart would be entering bearish territory. The Dow Jones holding its levels quite well, and the Russell 2000 actually making new highs. So that is significant. So the broader market is actually up. It is very much tech that's been the sell-off of late. The S&P future up nearly 0.25% this morning, and the Nasdaq E-mini much the same. So it does look like the market will recover a bit more today. FTSE 100 index is trying to get back above the cloud in the short-term chart, but still looks pretty bearish in the medium term. And the FTSE 250 down about 0.33% this morning. So we are just seeing again that weakness in the UK market. The DAX looking surprisingly strong after the German election result, kicking higher again this morning. So we are and back into the medium term on the lagging line. So we are seeing the DAX returning to bullish on all three time frames. Weaker euro just having a little bit of an impact there as well. The Nikkei holding its highs, so that's quite good news. Although it's down very slightly, it is still holding on. Hang Seng is still bearish below the cloud, as is Shanghai. So China and Hong Kong markets still looking a little bit bearish short term. The Sensex really selling off very strongly, so that's not helping. And the Australian market still drifting lower with all those downside targets. Brent crude is holding very much into the high 50s. We've been as high as 59, nudging $60 really, so looking pretty bullish. There is just a shortage of short-term and medium-term targets. We are seeing long-term targets which have now been met. So the key thing is, can we meet this even bigger $72 target? But there's just a shortage of clear targets there on the Brent chart. WTI also holding its bullish position, and we do have some upside targets here that are a little bit more clear. So it does look like the crude oil price could go up another 5 or 10% based on these targets, so that's good news. Looking at the US nat gas chart, we're seeing here just still holding below the cloud, sitting in the low 290, so not much action there. Going straight to the gold chart, gold having rocketed on Monday, fell back yesterday quite significantly, back below the cloud, so a lot of volatility in the gold price at the moment. It's a short-term bearish again. but the medium and long-term charts still look pretty good. And silver also doing much the same with a new downside target of 4.5% downside. So we are seeing precious metals just really volatile on global sentiment. Looking at US Treasury yields, they jumped to 2.28%, with various Fed members reaffirming a rate rise in December. The market's pricing that in now, and Apple still holding below the cloud, so recovered yesterday a bit, but still looking bearish. Google holding on more strongly. Amazon a real worry in the short-term chart, and withdrew on the medium-term chart, so looking more bearish. Facebook also just sold off really heavily on Monday, recovered a little bit yesterday, but still short-term bearish. And Microsoft much the same. So tech is not out of the woods yet. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.